You know what I don't understand is like, as a larger man, I don't ever want to see something in my size in slim fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to the store and I'm looking for my size. Like, I don't want it to be like attached to my body, like sucked in like saran wrap.
Yeah, I guess at that point you're really not fooling anyone.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to get this slim fit shirt. Everybody's going to think I'm super skinny. Like, no, I still wear like a 3X t-shirt. So
yeah,
the 3X just means like now I have to go to a 4X because it's a fucking slim fit.
Yeah. God.
Which makes me feel worse.
Yeah, because then you're like upsizing, basically.
It's like, I got to buy a 4X because it's fucking slim fit.
Wicked smart, wicked cool, wicked fucking stupid, whatever the fuck. Something wicked.
I'm baking like a toasted Caesar. It's so hot here.
My boy's wicked smart.
Cause the boy is hotter than hot. He's hot.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Oh shit, man! It is officially summer. I know we said that last episode, but it's legitimately summer now.
Today, actually, isn't it?
No, it's yesterday, but that's fine.
Oh, 21st. Okay, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Wicked Hot. Kevin and John. Kevin, it's been a long week. But I'm ready to get back into some podcast action. And guess what, guys? We're back into some learning.
Yeah. This was exciting to get back into. I was excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point was for you guys to learn stuff, and I feel like we've been doing a lot of opinionated things.
Yep.
I mean, I'm still gonna have opinions on this one, so
yeah,
but that's fine. But yeah, I think we're thinking about maybe like flip flopping every week, fact opinion. We'll see. We'll let you guys know. But yeah, Kevin, we posted on the Instagram and the Twitter the topic.
We did, yes.
And I'm sure we got plenty of likes, but not one fucking response to. I guess we can just in case people don't have a Twitter or an Instagram, we can describe what was going on,
what the
picture was, and we can tell you the answer. And
I'll tell you the filter that I use for Instagram to give you the whole ambiance of the whole picture. So the picture is the scene from The Dark Knight where the Joker is burning his half of the huge 20-foot stack of money,
which would burn the whole thing. That's one thing.
Yeah. His logic where he's only burning his half is very flawed. So he's burning money in the scene. That's an expensive thing. We're doing expensive movie scenes.
We are doing expensive movie scenes. Which seems to be a very relative term, because for some things that I found that were expensive, I was like, well, to the common man, sure. But for movies, I was both overwhelmed and underwhelmed with this episode.
Yes,
research.
I agree with you, because there's the top ones, which you're going to go over, and then there's everything else basically, and like pretty much every single movie, like big budget movie, falls into that lower tier. There's not many like crazy expensive movie scenes, at least in my opinion, as like some dipshit that doesn't know very much about making movies.
Right. And now I'm thinking, like, is it, and the cost varies per scene, which makes me think, like, where's the rest of this money going to? I know it's to pay actors, but I don't think actors get paid that much, and it also, relative to the cost of the movie.
Yeah. It also makes me think, like, are the other scenes in these movies just like super cheap? Because these like really expensive scenes, quote unquote, like it doesn't seem like expensive. It's that much.
Yeah. No, totally. 100%. So yeah, guys, we got most expensive scenes coming up in 3, 2, 1. Get into it.
I'm only burning my half. All you care about is money. This town deserves a better class of criminal. And I'm going to give it to him.
So my first movie, again, is like right in that sweet spot of like...
Wait. Are you telling me it's your first movie this time? Oh
It's
shit!
my first movie. Yeah, I'm
Huge
going
change.
first.
Yeah, everyone take note. Kevin is going first.
Yeah, what are we on? 25 episodes. I will go first.
Okay.
So we have worked that out.
That was disgusting.
So my first movie, again, it falls into that sweet spot of the typical, or what I would expect a scene to cost, but apparently this is very expensive for a movie scene. And the movie I'm talking about is one that you probably never saw. It's Sahara, 2005, Matthew McConaughey movie.
I have not seen this.
So
I'm thinking of that other Matthew McConaughey movie.
Fool's Gold?
No, it's another one where he's like in the desert, and they rob some
They rob an oil
toxic
man?
waste.
They robbed Daniel Day-Lewis?
No, it's not a collab. Hold on, let me look it up before.
Okay.
Oh wait, it was Sahara.
Was it?
Yeah, this is the thing where they're like, "Yep, no, I've seen
It's
this movie.
Okay.
I've seen this movie." Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that the movie you were talking about was like, this reminds me of a movie that seems very similar that also takes place in the desert, also called Sahara. Oh shit, it's Sahara.
Yeah, so the reason why you didn't remember is this is like one of the most forgettable movies
It is
ever.
forgettable.
Because I saw it and I didn't remember it until I was like randomly looking up some shit. And this scene that I'm talking about in the movie was actually never in the movie. The scene was cut.
Oh god, that
And
reminds me of another one.
so before, let me back up a little bit. Before I want to talk about, I know we're not talking about this week, but I want to talk about how ridiculous the production of the movie was and leading up to this cut scene in the movie. So
Okay.
the budget for the movie was $130 million, and it actually lost $78 million. So it's like cutting a scene that cost $2 million is like somebody didn't budget the money very well, and it lost a lot of money. And it came out in 2007 that the production was under investigation for
Money laundering.
foreign bribes. So apparently they couldn't account for $237,000, and it came out that they had paid off a bunch of government officials
Oh shit.
in a foreign country to film where they weren't supposed to be, basically.
Holy shit.
So
Was this in the Sahara? Is it filmed on location?
most of it was filmed in Europe, northern, like Eastern Europe.
Where the fuck is there deserts in Europe?
I don't know, but they had to film.
What?
They had to film in Europe. I think all the scenes where they're not in the desert, because they're not in the desert the entire time, are
I mean,
all in.
A good part
Europe.
of the movie they are.
Yeah. But most of the movie is in some random country where they had to pay off a bunch of people.
Okay.
And that kind of leads us to this scene. This is actually how the investigation started. Was they were trying to account for this $2 million that the scene cost. And it was a scene where an airplane was supposed to crash into a gas station. And they shot it, and it didn't work. They didn't like how it was cut. They didn't like what it added to the story. So they refilmed it, and instead of a plane crashing into a gas station, the plane was going to crash into a Jeep and then crash into the gas station.
Oh my god.
So it's a huge drastic change. And they filmed it. The director, again, hated the second cut and decided to scrap it.
You know what? This sounds like a lot of explosions. I think, yeah, you definitely need to like rebuild the gas station if you
Yeah.
like blew it up. If you blew it up twice.
Yeah. So this is like the most ridiculous cut scene from the movie, and I couldn't even find the scene. Like, they tried to
Really? Wow.
permanently delete this because it's not on any deleted scenes on the DVD or anything. It's not
There's
anywhere
something
that
worse.
I could find.
There's something worse that the crew did not want you to see aside from the movie.
Yeah,
So that's how you know that's like Star Wars Holiday Special bad.
really. Yes. So a lot of shit came out about this movie because of this $2 million scene that was cut. Time did a like an expose about all of the bribes and shit, and this is how this all came out. And it's like that's where they found the $2 million scene that was cut from the movie and nobody knew about.
Oh Jesus!
So it's pretty crazy.
So the scene cost $2 million and it didn't exist.
It didn't even exist, and the actual final cut of the scene was 46 seconds.
So wait, did you find the clip?
No, I couldn't. There was no clip of it online. So
what if this was never filmed?
It's possible. It was just another bribe.
Yeah,
it's
it was
very
$2.5 million.
Very possible.
So I think that would be crazier. And honestly, that's my conspiracy theory now. Is that a $2.5 million scene was just never made?
Very possible, especially if I can't find any footage of it, and it was a finished scene. Like they edited it and everything.
Right.
All they had to do was throw it on the extras on the DVD. There's nothing of this
well,
scene.
the problem was no one was buying the DVD.
It's true.
If anyone out there is listening to the show and has a Sahara DVD, please send us a picture because that would be hilarious.
Yes.
And don't go out to the Walmart bargain bin
and buy it for $5. Yeah.
I don't even think it's in a bargain bin.
I think you have to get that type of thing on eBay. Not even Amazon has that.
No, yeah, that was like a recalled item.
Yeah, that's the type of thing you find buried in a dump like 30 years from now.
They're like, who's Matthew McConaughey? Well, yeah, I guess for my next one is it deals with probably the biggest stunts. I personally think the biggest stunts that get a lot of publicity, and that's Mission Impossible. And I'm specifically talking about Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Unfortunately, I'll just start with I don't have the exact dollar figures for some of these scenes, but considering this movie cost $140 million to make, and it was the most expensive scene, gives you some perspective. So, if you guys haven't seen Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, first of all, do it.
It's probably the best Mission Impossible that I've seen, and I haven't seen the new one, so I can't say it's better than that.
You haven't seen Rogue Nation?
No.
Okay. I really love Ghost Protocol, and interestingly enough, Brad Bird, who directed Incredibles 1 and 2, this was his first live-action movie. And
really?
Dude, I love Brad. Like, not to go on a little tangent, but Brad Bird is such a good director, and The Incredibles is such a fucking good movie.
Can I tell you something?
You hate it?
I don't want you judging me for. I have never seen The Incredibles.
Wow. Dude, you need to.
Yeah.
I'm not even like judging you. Like, I feel like sorry for you, honestly. It's like the one kids movie that is so like it's faintly a kids movie.
Okay. I've had a lot of people tell me that it's like I'm missing out. So
you are missing out. You are missing out for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is Brad Bird's first live action movie. So Ghost Protocol, the scene I'm talking about is Tom Cruise is actually climbing the Burj Khalifa, which is like that huge
the Wiz Khalifa?
Not the Wiz Khalifa. It's the giant building in Dubai.
Okay.
If anyone's been to Dubai, which I'm sure they haven't, but you know what building I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's fucking huge. So he's basically climbing this building with these like sticky magnet like gloves that stick to the building. This scene, it took like he's not only doing that, he's like rappelling out of like windows and like kind of like jumping and gliding onto like another part of the building. Yes. It's fucking insane. It's an awesome scene.
Yeah,
it really is. So the scene took 5 months to plan,
Damn.
4 days to film, and it was all done by Tom Cruise. So,
wow.
And I think what made this so expensive was the fact that they built a miniature of what he was supposed to climb. So basically like a piece of the building they built a miniature of and brought it to like East Europe where they were filming like all the interior scenes and stuff. So but they were just practicing on that. Like nothing, like there was no filming during that process. So
Wow.
he was basically practicing and becoming a stuntman. I know a pretty famous like stunt coordinator was like, you know, he and Tom were working together, but he was basically teaching him how to become like a stuntman and to be able to do this. So
the
had
actual scene was filmed in Dubai, right?
The actual scene was filmed in Dubai. It was 4 days.
Wow.
They even had 50-foot lights to mimic the sun's light based on the perspective of like where you were looking.
Wow.
And in the case that they didn't have any wind, they had a wind machine that blew down wind onto Tom Cruise.
Jeez.
And the only CG that they used was to remove the wires that were holding him in place. But everything else was legitimate.
Damn.
And yeah, I mean,
that's
this
impressive.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that from like all of these costs is what made it so fucking expensive. Because first of all, it's Dubai, so it's like you're really like big balling if you're in the UAE. Yeah, 4 days to film, 5 months to plan, miniatures. Basically, had to have Tom Cruise learn how to be a stuntman, and I'm wondering how much the insurance was.
That's
I'm
what
almost
I'm thinking.
positive
Permits
that's
and
what,
insurance, like that was probably the most expensive part of the whole scene.
right? Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. I didn't realize that. First of all, I didn't realize that it was really on the building, because I always thought that they had used like green screen and a model.
Nope. It's
But-
on the fucking building.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's like that high up. And also, most of the cameramen filmed him within the interior of the building. And they only had fixed cameras to capture the outside. So no one was even out there really with him,
Damn.
which is
Wow.
fucking crazy.
So he
that
could have
he's
fallen
doing-
and nobody would have been there.
Dude, honestly, like, whatever you people say about Tom Cruise, I mean, I know he's a fucking crazy person because he's a Scientologist. That I know. But the guy, first of all, is ageless.
Yeah,
So Scientology clearly works for him.
it does.
And like props to doing your own stunts. Like, that's ballsy as fuck.
Yeah, I got to give props for the own stunts. And Tom Cruise is like the only actor that's Scientologist where I'm not like, oh, this guy. It's always like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise. Like, I love Tom Cruise.
Well,
I
'cause
love
the-
that he
the
does. He's like
problem
Jackie
is-
Chan. He's like the white Jackie Chan. Does his own stunts and
Dude, we need
constantly
a
breaks
Jackie
bones.
Chan Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah,
That would be fucking awesome.
that'll be the next Rush Hour. Tom Cruise will be like the lieutenant or something. They'll have to go out on an
I
adventure.
would be so. You don't have no idea how 100% down I would be for that. Yeah, man. He's. It's just I think he just is known as being like a like genuinely nice person, because I know Jeremy Renner said nothing but good things about him. He's like, the guy was just full of energy all the time, but he also wanted to do like crazy shit all the time, like fucking jump off buildings and shit.
He's like that guy Travis Pastrana, the dirt bike guy, who's always trying like weird, crazy tricks and shit. He's like constantly peer pressuring people into doing like crazy things. Like, I feel like that's how Tom Cruise is. Like,
Yeah.
constantly doing crazy things, constantly trying to one up himself or whoever he's around.
Yeah,
It's crazy, and it translates to film really well, because I fucking love
it's
the
real
guy.
because it's real. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. Rogue Nation, there was the whole thing where he literally was on the side of a fucking airplane taking off.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, like, props to him. But
yeah.
yeah. So Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I mean, like, final thoughts on the scene.
The scene is amazing. I didn't realize that it was that, like, effectsless. I thought there were a lot more effects in the scene. And doesn't he crawl through a window at the end? Like, once he's up there, he like crawls through a window, which in itself, on a completely vertical surface, and then trying to like climb in somewhere like that, I give him props for that alone.
Yeah. Like, that's like straight up pull up.
My next one is, again, it's about the same price, but the budget for this is way lower. So I feel like this scene accounts for a lot more.
Oh, the stakes are way higher.
Yeah, the stakes are definitely way higher. So I'm talking about the helicopter chase / crash in Terminator 2.
Fuck yes. Dude, I was just watching Terminator 2 last weekend. So
Great,
I'm in.
great scene. And I kind of didn't realize like what went into the scene in general because it kind of looks like models a little bit.
It does look like models. And can I say, I'm so happy you're covering this scene because I it's so good. It's so well done.
So the scene was actually filmed on a runway in Los Angeles, and they basically put some overpasses up and made it look like a freeway, which they needed like about a mile, so they went like back and forth.
Wait, so was it on a freeway?
It was supposed to take place on a freeway, but it was on a runway in a Los Angeles.
Oh, it's an airport. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
So the stunt helicopter pilot had to make like a ridiculous, like basically thread the needle on this thing twice, going under the overpass. So
holy shit! So that actually was a helicopter.
yeah, a guy did fly a helicopter.
How fast was he?
He was going 70 miles an hour.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so he actually had 5 feet above the helicopter and 4 feet on either side of the blades. So he had to scrape the skids of the helicopter on the ground to make it under going 70 miles an hour, and he did it twice.
Dude, that's a skilled helicopter. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure helicopters, just flying them at all is a difficult feat.
Yes,
I hear it's like one of the most difficult aircraft to pilot.
Yeah,
and if you're over here, fucking tooth and nail, like, god damn,
he did it. He actually did it 3 times. The first time he did it was in his own little dinky helicopter that he had wheels on his skids for, so that technically didn't count. But he did it 3 times, twice at 70 miles an hour with a full size, like a police helicopter looking thing.
Yeah,
with very little margin for error. The scene itself cost $2.5 million and took 1,000 crew members and 7 nights to film.
Holy shit!
Yeah, for that, it's like a 2-minute chase scene.
I think I also remember James Cameron. Like, I think one of the stunt cameramen like didn't want to do it, and James Cameron did it himself. He like recorded it on the side of like a van, like when it's like close up and it shows the helicopter behind the car.
Yeah,
that shot was filmed by James Cameron.
Damn, that guy is so ballsy. He always does shit that is like questionable. Like he
does
very sketchy, that the shit that he films.
Yeah, I mean, well, I feel like Chris Nolan may do the same thing. They get into it. They get into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think Chris Nolan does like stunt camera shit. Like James Cameron is like that crazy white guy.
Yeah, that's true. So the movie had a $70 million budget, and this one scene cost $2.5 million. And
that's
was actually it is a lot in terms of what the budget was. The special effects and stunts were $51 million of the $70 million budget, and this scene accounted for $2.5 million of that $51 million effects.
I'm a little underwhelmed by that, honestly.
I am too, but you got to also imagine this came out in 1991 and was probably made in 88, 89. So we're looking at the 80s. Adjusted for inflation, we're looking at probably closer to $3 million.
That's true. I mean, I will say though that I mean, it probably wasn't as expensive because there wasn't as much CG involved.
No, and that was one thing they said again, like with the Tom Cruise thing. The only thing that they used CG for was taking out the cables.
Yeah. I think when it comes to, I think when you start doing a lot of CG, that's when the price starts to hike up. And I don't never understand why. I don't know. Is it the rendering time or is it? Yeah,
it's the time, and then effects.
Well, I guess
they
didn't render stuff back then.
Yeah, they would have rendered it because it's like CGI, computer generated, so they would have had to render it.
How do you render it onto film? That's my question.
Well, you render the whole movie onto like a digital copy, and then there's like specific film houses that like transfer it back onto film.
That's crazy. That shit's nuts.
Yeah.
The science of film. We gotta do an episode on that.
We got to do another cinema history episode.
On the history of film itself.
Yes.
Sweet. Oh, yeah, I'll hold you to that one. That idea of the CG, it fucking interests me.
It does.
Putting it back on there. All right, cool. So, my movie also dealt with a lot of helicopters.
Was it cars or was it planes? Was it planes?
It involves both. So, I'm specifically talking about The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
So, out of The Dark Knight Rises' cost of $257 million to make, barely any of the scenes in this movie involved any CG, which is fucking insane.
That is insane. That's very hard to believe, actually. Like, a modern day movie? Wow.
Yeah, so almost everything that could be done practically was. So the most expensive scene that I'm talking about is the scene, which is, I think, one of the biggest and craziest fucking sequences. And it's when we just get into it, is the airplane hijacking scene at the beginning of the movie.
God
If
damn.
you've never
scene.
have you never seen the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises, if you're not even a Batman fan, which I don't know how you couldn't be, although Marissa, I'm talking to you. Like, just watch the beginning of that scene, because it's so it's a caveat so good, because I'm not that big of a fan of the acting in that scene.
Really? Why?
Yes. Okay.
No, the agents, right? Hopefully the agents, not Tom Hardy.
It is the agents.
Okay.
It is the agents. So I'm gonna just let's put a pin in this for a second.
Okay, slow down.
Interesting little side note about that scene. So if you don't remember the scene, it like starts with a bunch of hostages that are taken onto like a small like passenger plane, and they take off, and it's like flying through Scotland, and it's like these CIA guys that are like interrogating these people, and they open up the door to the plane, but they're flying like low, like they're within like mountains. And he's interrogating him, like saying like, who's Bane, which is the main villain in the movie, who's Bane. And in this scene, he shoots. When he asks them a question, they have their head out of the plane, and he shoots. But when he's interrogating them, he shoots his gun, but all you hear is the sound effect. The gun doesn't cycle. There's no flash.
Oh.
It's literally, and not even like a inkling of a recoil. It's just he points the gun, you hear a sound effect, and then he like pulls it back slowly. And it always bothered me. It always fucking bothered me. And then the second hostage or whatever, they put his head out of the plane, and he pulls back the hammer, which insinuates that the gun was never fired. Because if he fired the gun, it would have gone from double action to single action. Right. For people who don't know guns, I used to own a gun. Crazy. So I know how this shit works.
Yeah.
So that blew my mind. But anyway, back to the actual scene. So
can I just have a little bitch sesh for a second?
Okay.
The fact that he doesn't shoot or shoots the gun, but there's no recoil, there's no chambering another round.
Flash, nothing. Like
nothing.
The gun doesn't even cycle. You would have seen that.
Okay. I can do that in visual effects in like 20 minutes. So a professional VFX person has got to be able to make it look like the gun is having some sort of blowback in like half the time.
But do you know what you just said? If there was VFX, this is a Chris Nolan movie.
I know, but
Chris Nolan is going to make giant.
There's got to be a
CGI
line.
set pieces. He's not going to have some guy like, "Hey, make a gun cycle."
I feel
that's
like
too
that's
much CG for
that's
Chris
a horrible oversight for such a big budget movie. In the very beginning of the movie, doesn't set a good precedent. But I never noticed it, so
now you will.
I guess it's now I will. Yeah,
yeah. Now it's ruined for you. Yeah. So this scene. So we get that whole part, and then another giant fucking plane, a Hercules C-140, I think is what it is, flies above the small passenger plane. it opens up. It's like one of those like where the back is
like a tank would come out of the back
ramp.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ramp goes down, and 4 guys jump out with cables and land on the other plane that's flying.
Yeah, like right above it. Yeah.
Right. So for this whole entire scene, because I saw the behind the scene, because I own the movie and I saw the behind the scenes of this, and I got into real research this week, by the way, just throwing that out there. That scene, it's all legitimate. The other plane flies above it. The guys jump out and they jump onto the moving plane. So they jump onto the moving plane and they basically like hook up these cables to the plane, and then the plane starts getting pulled, and the nose of the plane is facing the ground. So at that point, they actually switched the plane, the actual like operational plane out, and put in a dummy plane that was designed for its wings to be ripped off and the tail, which happens in the movie.
Does it happen at full speed? Like does it happen practically?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah. So then we get close-up shots where it just shows like cables the guys, and then the plane like basically like nose down.
Right.
That was actually being towed by a helicopter for those scenes. And Chris Nolan was in the helicopter filming this whole thing happening.
Nice.
So, but the whole effect of it getting pulled by the plane was real, but then when it got to like real close-up shots, and the close-up shots for him, it's still in the wide open and it's being towed by a helicopter in the fucking sky, like probably like 1,000 feet up.
Yeah.
Which is insane. So just for the pilots and the stunt crew to be there, again, pilot stunt crew, which is minimal. I'm assuming 2 pilots, and there were, I think, 6 stuntmen total, because it was the 4 guys that jump out plus Bane and the doctor after it releases the. And by the way, that was real. So when they get in the plane, they get everyone out, and then he clicks a button, and the entire fuselage falls, and they're just hanging on the rope.
Oh wow,
that was real. All that shit was real. Yeah. So for all those just the crew members and the pilots, it cost $450,000 for 3 days of shooting.
Wow.
So, and again, we just don't. That doesn't even include the cost of like having both planes, like renting both planes.
Yeah.
Plus
the
replacement
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Plus the replacement glider that they had to design to have its wings and tail to be ripped off. And I mean, I guess in this instance, the usage of practical effects may have skyrocketed the cost, because I mean, the stuntman actually jumped out of a plane onto another plane, and it was like all midair shots, except for obviously like and I'm not sure if they account the cost of the scene, including like interior shots when they're in the plane, because that's obviously not in the plane. That's in a set. But for all the exterior shots, I mean, it's insane that is all real, and that it was. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not insane that it was that expensive. Again, I don't have the cost for it, but at least for just the hiring of people to be there for 3 days, there's $450,000, and
that's not even like the most expensive part of the process. It's like I'm sure the plane to rent it is like, the military plane is like insane, like an insane amount of money, the insurance, all that shit. Like this is probably got to be like a $5 to $7 million shot,
right?
And not to mention, it's like the best opening scene. It's like probably the 10th best opening scene ever.
Yeah, it's a great opening scene, and everything that Chris Nolan did in this movie, the big battle scene in the end in Wall Street, they actually filmed on location in Wall Street. They had hundreds upon hundreds. Like it's like if you've never seen The Dark Knight Rises, like the end of the movie is, it looks like 1,000 people, and guess what? It was like,
it was
almost 1,000 people fighting each other, all extras, not digitally added, nothing like that, which is the craziest thing. Again, Chris Nolan, he's like, if it's possible, then we're going to fucking do it.
Yeah, and I know that you also have the football stadium scene in the same movie. So
Correct.
you have the rental of a football stadium, all of those VFX to
there
have
was
the ground-
12,000 people there. There was. I mean,
there was
they
one
didn't- they didn't-
section's worth. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then-
I doubt they paid those people to be there.
No, probably not.
But you still had they had the explosives that like
Yeah,
popped on the
all
field.
the pyro stuff, the VFX.
And you had the Pittsburgh Steelers there.
Yeah.
You had to pay those guys.
Yep.
Although
Well,
they
two
should
of
be
them.
fucking honored.
There's two of them. There's Heinz Ward and Ben Roethlisberger.
Those were the only two.
Those
Everyone
were
else
the
was
only-
an actor.
No, those were the only two. Everyone else was an extra.
Oh shit. Okay. Never mind then.
You didn't know that because Roethlisberger throws to Ward, touchdown, and then like nobody else is ever featured in the movie.
Yeah, and everyone else dies.
yeah, true.
Yeah, so yeah, that'd be a little morbid. Shit. Yeah, so most expensive scene is the airplane scene. It's probably the best scene in the movie, honestly.
Damn. Again, like my next one is also a Christopher Nolan scene and is also the best scene in the entire movie. And it's the
And
hallway.
most expensive.
It's the hallway scene. Where Joseph Gordon-Levitt is battling some motherfucker and it's twisting and basically mimicking the same movements that the van is as it's falling in half
Yeah.
the time or less than half the
Yeah,
time.
that the thing is like doing rollover crashes like the entire scene.
Yeah, it's falling for like 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
In real life. So the scene actually took a very long time to shoot. One of the longest I've ever seen. So the crew,
Really?
Yeah, there's about 500 crew members that worked on the scene, and I don't know if you've ever seen like the behind the scenes for that specific scene. They basically had two like storage containers end to end, and they made the hallway like a replica of the hallway, put it in the storage containers.
So
And
it's
then-
like 2 storage containers worth of a hallway.
Yeah, like a hallway.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
they put those end to end and put those on a rig that rotated, like spin.
Yes,
on
I
an
did see
axis.
that. Yes.
Yeah. And the camera also spun on the axis too, but a different way. So it
That's
had
so
the
crazy.
illusion. It had the illusion of no gravity and like the building was spinning and stuff. So awesome shot, like a crazy cool
it
shot.
is great. It is so good.
And if you go back and you look at the making of that scene, like you won't be disappointed in that.
Oh no, it's incredible because he literally just built like this guy he builds worlds.
He does. And this one was
And-
actually one that I expected to be it was higher than what I expected.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot higher. So I was thinking, because my last two have been around $2 million, $2.5 million. I'm thinking right around there because like this is just a hallway and some camera rigging. No, the scene cost $6.5 million to shoot
Holy shit.
and 500 crew members, and it took 3 weeks to shoot the entire scene.
Holy shit. I think that might be the longest of any of ours.
I think so. That may be the longest scene I've ever heard of taking that long.
Yeah, because I know from my previous 2 is 4 days and 3 days.
Yeah, and Terminator 2, the one that I did was 7 nights, and the other one was basically 4 days. So 3 weeks to shoot this one scene, and it's not a very long scene at all. It's maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes total.
Yeah.
Of this
Well,
rig
that's
working.
that specific part of the scene. Yeah, because the
Yes.
scene is long, but that specific part. Yeah, it's
Right. So this is basically that one part of that one scene.
I feel like
Basically
everyone's
only the
seen this
hallway.
scene. It's in every commercial for Inception,
Yeah.
which came out like fucking 9 years ago. But
Yeah, it did. But it's crazy. The scene, like one little fraction of the scene cost $6.5 million and took 3 weeks.
yeah, that's insane.
It wasn't even the rest of the scene that took the 3 weeks. It was just the hallway scene and choreography and all that, figuring out how the rig worked and all that shit.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Like, again,
Well, then that means
the best
that- 'cause, like,
movie,
that-
the best scene in the movie.
It is the best scene in the movie, but that's like the best part of the best scene.
It is.
Because that's not even the whole scene. So I'm sure this is just that specific part. That doesn't include
Right.
the other parts of that scene. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I consider that a whole rather than just the hallway is like a specific scene, you know?
Right. And that scene is like adding a pool to your house. You know how it like pays for itself when you sell it? Like that scene probably seeing that in trailers probably drove a lot of people to go see the movie.
I'm pretty sure it drove me to go see it because I didn't know what the fuck it was. And I was like, oh shit, this looks crazy.
Yeah, like when you first see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's like just flying against a wall, like but moving forward as well. It's like an awkward shot that you only see for like a split second, and then you see like him fighting on the walls.
I have that shit on Blu-ray. I'm not gonna lie, I may watch it. Like
I do too. I may watch it too. I love that movie, and I love that scene.
It is so good. It is so good. Yeah, no, I'm into the scene. The cost, yeah, that doesn't surprise me for something like this.
Yeah.
But
and it's a Nolan movie.
That does seem really fucking expensive.
Nolan pulls no punches when it comes to making movies. So,
like you said, if it can be done, let's fucking do it.
Yep.
Not verbatim, but I hope he did say it exactly like that.
He probably said it really British-like.
Really British. Yeah, it's true. So funny enough, and I guess this kind of spoils the next two along with the one I'm about to do.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into some Keanu Reeves territory real hard. So this might be
the last part of the show is going to be a jack-off sesh of
for
Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like
I'm not
most expensive scenes and then Keanu Reeves movies. Which, you know, it's fine. So this the specific movie I'm talking about in scene is kind of a weird one because technically this was quoted as expensive and they basically cheapened it due to the budget. So I'm talking about John Wick 2. And specifically the scene at the very end where they're in like the museum and he chases the Italian dude through an entire like fun house, which is like a house of mirrors.
Oh,
exhibit.
yeah.
So this was actually the most expensive scene in the movie, and it only cost $250,000, which is
but doesn't John
crazy.
Wick have a small budget?
Yes. So the whole movie had a $40 million $40. So they were way over budget, but thankfully they made all of it back. No. So the whole movie had $40 million as the budget.
Okay.
But I just the fact that it's so this scene originally was quoted. The director was like, "Okay, I know how this is supposed to happen. I know this is how this scene is supposed to end, or like the movie's supposed to end with this scene. They have to be in this mirror room." He told his like I guess like the production designer or whatever, and he's like, "How much is it going to cost me to wait, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so he told his production designer like, this is how it's going to end. How can we do it? Like, we need to figure out how to do it. And the production designer said, "You want a whole room full of mirrors, top to bottom."
That doesn't sound expensive when you break it down like that.
Well,
I'm thinking like a few $1,000s, like $10,000 can make you this mirror room.
Dude, 1.5 million.
Wow.
Is what he quoted him, and he's like, we need to do it like at $250,000. And they did. So basically what happened is, and what really drove the cost up of this, which is crazy because it's just a huge, it's not like a huge action set piece. It's a shootout in a house of mirrors at a carnival. That's all it is.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back, and I'm like, what was expensive about this? And I'm like, there was probably 1,000 mirrors. Like, that's it.
Right. So it was all kind of done practically. It was like 60-40 done practically. He said 60% of it was practical, 40% was CG. And the problem was the fact that they actually only bought like 3 dozen like dance mirrors that were all movable.
Okay.
And they basically I honestly think this was more of like, I don't think this definitely couldn't have been them doing it for free. But it's like they had to go every time they were finished with filming like normal scenes, they then had to go to that set to kind of figure out what angles they could get with cameras where they wouldn't be seen.
I bet
Because
that
I know for
camera
some-
operator is like, fuck, this sucks. Like,
So I think they filmed the whole thing on DSLRs because
oh, that makes sense.
yeah, because they needed the up close and they also needed to be out of the shot. And many times they had people like in black and like completely out of the way, so you couldn't.
Yeah, I bet that was a
be seen in
nightmare
this-
to shoot. Like either way,
Oh yeah,
dealing
it
with
was.
mirrors in general, like I can't even imagine a whole.
Well, because
room.
so he wanted it to be like he had a path for how Keanu was going to kill people in the scene,
Mhm.
and he wanted to make sure that everything was perfect for when Keanu was like on set doing his stuff. Because he basically his whole thing was like he didn't want to be unfair to like go in that with absolutely zero preparation and expect the actor to kind of like put up with the fact that like, oh wait, we can't do this, we have to do this again because
yeah,
the camera guy was in the shot like too like blatantly in the shot.
yeah,
So I'm thinking that's what the main cost driver was for this scene. But again, at the same time, like clearly they used another 40% of CG to kind of like make it look, I guess, crisper and better. Because
Yeah.
like the scene itself seems very CG, and the crazy thing
it
is
does.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's not at all.
and the
like-
the reason it feels so CG is because the scene is so clean.
It
Like,
is
everything
Yeah.
feels very pristine about the mirrors, the floor, the ceiling.
Yeah, and the like if you don't remember the scene, he's like walking through basically like sliding mirror doors.
Yeah,
And
the
people are
floor
coming
is like
out-
lit up and stuff.
Yeah. And the people are coming out of these like mirror doors, like they're almost coming out like the T1000, not to give it a throwback to the thing we just talked about.
yeah,
But it's like very like fluid, like they're literally like fluid just coming out of like this wall that just
Yeah.
kind of I don't
It's
really
like you
know.
never know when it's the actor, when it's a reflection, and it's very good at pulling it off.
Right. Yeah, you would think this entire thing was green screen and it's not, but yeah,
Wow.
I mean yeah, this yeah, so this actually took 5 days to shoot. So even after all that preparation, it still took 5 days. So I'm
Wow.
sure that's like another part of the cost that just really built up. But this is the most expensive scene in the movie, which is kind of ridiculous when you
Yeah.
think about it.
That is crazy because I know a lot of John Wick stuff is practical. There's not a lot of CGI in the movie, and
Yep.
the fact that this very practical thing, you just think of like a bunch of mirrors and a floor and a ceiling, and it doesn't sound that expensive. But when you break it down to what went into it, like it's crazy, and you can
I
see
feel
where
like
the
when-
money comes from.
With movie production, the
Yeah.
inflation must be ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
they don't get things at cost. Like
No.
if they were starting a dance studio with those dance mirrors, it'd probably be like nothing. But they're like, oh, what are you
True.
using these mirrors for? And it's like, oh, we're making a movie. It's like, okay, it's like 3 times the price now.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that they add a bunch of nonsense shit onto budgets just to get more money in other departments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that could be the case here, but
Could be.
still, I mean, it's an expensive movie and a low budget, not low budget, but a pretty small budget movie nowadays.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So my next Keanu one is Matrix Reloaded.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And this is also when we decided to talk about this, this was the first scene that came to mind because I know it was a very, very expensive scene. And I'm talking about the freeway scene, the freeway chase, which I actually just
Legitimate.
watched.
It's the best scene in the movie.
It still holds up. It's the best scene in the movie. And
So action packed.
the twins in that scene are so fucking badass. It just makes the whole thing like so much cooler, and the fact that it still holds up, it has a spot in my heart because I fucking love the Matrix movies, and it's like
yeah.
my favorite scene of all the movies.
By the way, did you ever play Enter the Matrix when you were
No.
either Nairobi or fuck, I don't remember the Asian dude. You were Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, or you were
Oh.
the Asian guy. But it was a tie-in game to the Matrix Reloaded, and you were them, and you had to play the whole freeway chase, but in their shoes.
Wow, no, I never.
That was
did see
one of the missions. Oh,
Wow.
so good, great game.
Yeah, I was never into that video game. Maybe I should pick it up now. Maybe on Xbox backwards compatibility.
Yeah, it's probably on Xbox backwards compatibility for sure.
So the scene, the Wachowskis actually built an entire freeway for this scene, a 2-mile stretch of freeway. And
shit. Is it still used?
no, it
I mean,
was
you
it
just
was
don't-
like off-site somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And they use CG for like the background, some of the backgrounds and stuff. Like that's why it looks like downtown Los Angeles. But I don't have like actual figures for the scene itself, but I know that the freeway cost $2.5 million to make.
Fuck.
And they made it at a naval base in California. So that alone, like not including all the CG, the cars that are destroyed, because there's like 20 cars destroyed in the scene.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of mayhem.
Yeah,
for sure.
there's a lot of practical cars flipping everywhere. So like that alone is probably an exorbitant amount of money.
This was the one movie that made me want a Cadillac C Series,
Yes, it really did.
like a CT or whatever the fuck car it was. I'm like, damn, that Cadillac is sexy.
Yeah, and even the SUV that the twins drive, it's like a Escalade,
Yeah, it's a Cadillac Escalade.
yeah, it was
I'm pretty sure.
higher, like the bigger one, the bigger
Yeah.
Escalade they have. But there were some estimations that I found about how much the scene cost. Some people were saying around 7 million, some people were saying around 6 million. So that's an extra 4 to 5 million just on everything else that wasn't the freeway.
The road, yeah.
Right.
That's
so
crazy.
I mean, just thinking about that, like that is so many moving parts, and I know it was coordinated over the course of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
They only took 3 days to shoot it, but again, it was one of those things where they went back and they knew exactly how they wanted it to go, kind of like the John Wick thing, and it was basically just weeks of training for all of the movements, because they did a lot of that shit at speed. It's not like edited to make it look like they're going fast. A lot of
Really?
it was them going fast.
Oh shit. Because
So
I mean, it's like cars, SUVs. You got tractor trailers. I mean, that scene has like so many different cars getting completely obliterated.
yeah, it does. And the twins like going in and out of, that's like my favorite part. Like
Oh,
when they
yeah.
turn into ghosts and then like turn back into not regular people, but people.
Yeah,
And
white guys with dreads.
yes, that's like the coolest part where he's on the freeway, turns into a ghost, and then turns back, and he's sitting in the front seat of the Escalade.
dude. I know I may get hate for this, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm a fan of this movie.
I'm a fan of the movie too. It's not great story wise, but god damn, it's good. It's good to look at.
Good action. Good
Yeah.
action.
It's just
Because
a
I'm
good
also
action
thinking
movie.
the precursor scene to this movie is when Morpheus is fighting them in the parking garage.
Yes.
The twins. God damn, and they're like phasing and unphasing when
Yeah.
he's like swinging the samurai sword. Dude,
So cool.
this movie is so early 2000s though.
I
It's
know. I
like
went back and watched
The
a bunch
all
of
black.
yeah.
That was cool.
Morpheus's
like samurai
glasses
swords.
with no ear things. Like they're just sitting on his nose.
I know. Dude, Lawrence Fishburne's looking old as fuck too.
That's true.
So yeah. But anyway, so funny enough, Kevin, my last movie is also The Matrix Reloaded.
Oh God. Jesus.
And I'm not sure who's. Well, actually, I am sure because I know my scene is 100% for sure, probably the most expensive scene ever. I mean, not
Okay.
ever, but it's definitely the most expensive scene in this movie. And I, unfortunately, baffled by this and sad to say that the most expensive scene in this movie is the fight between Neo and
oh man.
the 100 Agent Smiths. Oh man, so
that is the worst scene. The worst. I bet you can go back to any movie from when was that out? Like 2004?
no, it was 2001.
Matrix Reloaded?
Yeah,
Oh God. I bet you can go back to any movie from 2001 and find better CGI that costs way less, obviously, because
oh yeah,
40.
yeah.
How much was it? 40 million? 41 million?
40 million.
Wow.
And by the way, the CGI of the entire movie was 100 million. 40
Wow.
fucking percent of the CGI budget went into one scene.
I mean, watching it in the theater at the time, it was an
You were
amazing scene.
yeah, you were jacked up from it.
But
Don't lie.
it did lose its good, like it lost.
A week later.
Yeah, like very quickly it lost its allure, and it turned
Apparently
into
when
a
I
very
was-
bad scene.
When I was reading it, like some older articles just said like, oh, fans were like not happy about it from the beginning. So
Really?
yeah. So yeah, it's easily one of the worst scenes in the movie. It doesn't hold up. That scene actually took 27 days to shoot.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so interestingly enough, for this scene, like basically the precursor to the fight, well actually I guess like the beginning fight when he's probably like fighting like 5 of them, more of them start showing up, and only a small percentage was actually Hugo Weaving. Most of them were stunt doubles
Okay.
that looked
I do-
like
I do remember seeing a few stunt doubles that looked a little too bald
yeah,
when I was watching it in theaters, and I was like, I know that's not Hugo Weaving.
right. Well, it's just crazy that they got more people and all they did was like digitally add his face.
Yeah.
But if you remember when Neo kind of like gets piled up all these Agent Smiths on him,
Yeah.
and the back of their heads is how you could tell it's different people, because the
Okay.
way the light's shining on their head, it's like completely different, like hairs, colors, and
Oh,
I mean
okay.
not like drastically, but it's like different shades of brown, you know.
Okay.
And it's just like definitely doesn't look like the back of his head.
Yeah. That sucks because I love that scene, especially like when he breaks out and he does the walk like on the pole, like side.
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
Yep.
like and just, it's
That
just
is
like
a
kicking
cool-
them all in the face as he's walking on this pole. Great
when he
scene.
rips it. First of all, when he rips it out and he does like the spin,
Yeah,
that gets me hyped. Dude, that movie gets me hyped. Keanu Reeves is so good in that. What's interesting is this scene, it used a combination of motion capture and CGI. But what cost so much was that none of the fight was practical. 0.
wow.
It was all CG. So basically it was like CG motion capture, and then they put the two together so it looked like they were fighting.
Wow. That's crazy because
And-
that probably takes that's probably like a $5 million shot today and looks way better.
Yeah. So yeah, all digitally rendered. No one was actually fighting anything or anyone. And basically they made like a $40 million video game cutscene.
Yeah. I wonder how
That's-
it was like on set shooting like nothing, like basically shooting the background.
Yeah, I mean, he must have, like, the Wachowskis must have been like, all right, punch him. You're fighting him right now.
Yeah.
It's
Just like talking to the camera guys, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then 10 Agent Smiths go out of this one, and then Neo spins around the pole and kicks them all in the face, and the camera guy's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, what are they talking about? Yeah, I do know that from the worst of the 3 Matrix Revolutions,
Oh yeah,
the end scene where he is fighting Agent Smith with all the other Agent Smiths watching.
yeah.
They
I hate
actually
that
made
scene.
they actually made a cast of his face, and they put like masks on dummies and on other
That would have been the smarter way to go.
people. Oh, by the way, those masks are terrifying, and they look nothing like Hugo Weaving. It looks like really shitty version of Hugo Weaving. I'm like, damn, the craftsmanship back in 2003 when that, like, god damn, that looks like shit.
Yeah, that was back when they were cutting corners.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving said he was just sitting in like a chair for like 7 hours.
Damn, and they
Which-
couldn't even pull it off.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that like the initial mold looked good, but I think whoever they got for like makeup artists and like just like artists in general, like just to paint and airbrush his face,
Yeah,
they gave him some fucked up features. Like his eyes were like goldfish eyes. They were like a meter apart. It was crazy.
oh god,
Yeah.
I
so
hate that
yeah.
fucking scene. in Matrix Revolution. I can't stand it. That's the worst scene in the entire trilogy.
Yeah, I know. Which sucks because Agent Smith was such a good villain.
He was, and he dies like a bitch.
He really does die like a bitch. Yeah, so I guess final thoughts on the Agent Smith scene from Matrix Reloaded, with all the CGI wobbles and
like I said, definitely has a spot in my heart because I love the scene, and it is a cool scene if you can get past how shitty the CGI looks.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like if I'm,
terrible.
10, 15, 20 years from now, my kids are watching this, like they're going to be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, hey, let's watch Matrix Reloaded. Not even watch the first one. And then we get to that scene and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm sure kids maybe in a couple of years, like 10, 15 years, fuck, they're not going to even know.
They're going to be able to do that shit on their iPhone.
Yeah.
Like 10 years.
Seriously. All right, cool, Kevin. Well, now that we wrap things up, I have one last question for you. Being that we talked about expensive scenes and then transitioned to a Keanu Reeves episode.
Yeah.
What is the best shitty Keanu performance?
Okay.
And I might get hate for these options, but I'm going to tell them anyway. Speed.
Okay.
Point Break. Or Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Fuck. Dracula's a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. He's terrible in it.
He's terrible. The movie's terrible. Let's just leave it at that.
Gary Oldman's good, and so is Anthony Hopkins. Come on.
I'm going to have good, shitty performance, like one that I am into.
Yeah, one that you're into, sure.
Definitely.
Or you can take it like the worst.
The worst one is definitely Dracula. The best shitty performance is Speed. Because every time that fucking movie's on, I will watch it and I'll be happy about it.
That's true. I would say Speed, but I have to say with my favorite of his shitty performances has to be Point Break. I mean, how could we ever forget that he's an FBI agent in that movie? That's just the one thing that he very carefully enunciates.
Yeah. There's a couple things that we know, and one is that Keanu Reeves is an FBI agent, and two, Daniel Day-Lewis is an oil man. That's something that we get a lot of throughout those two movies, and I love it.
Oh, 100%. And then he's a football player. He's like he's a retired surfer football player. / FBI agent.
That sounds like a 90s movie.
It is an
early 90s kids movie.
It is 100%.
Yeah.
It's like Surf Ninjas meets he's like, and his name's like Johnny Montana or something like that.
Fuck, that's a white surfer name right there.
But yeah, as far as shitty, I mean, yeah, I'm glad we agree with Bram Stoker's. And again, this is the one thing that people need to hear because it is so terrible. Like Keanu Reeves, imagine like Bill and Ted's Keanu Reeves trying to do a British accent. That is Keanu Reeves, Jonathan Harker in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
I know where the bastard sleeps. I brought him there. To Carfax Abbey.
Horrible, horrible acting.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he wasn't blackballed after that. As much as I love Keanu Reeves.
Oh, shit. I completely forgot of his other role where he also has a British accent. And it's also, I think maybe late 80s, early 90s movie, Dangerous Liaisons with John Malkovich.
I've never seen
and
that.
Glenn Close. It's a 1700s period piece in France, like during Revolutionary France.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So we could have those two clips back to back with Keanu Reeves fucking talking in a British accent. It's terrible. But yeah, guys, thanks again for listening, and let us know. Maybe I didn't cover one of the big three of the shitty Keanu Reeves performances, and let us know what you think about. I guess what your favorite, most expensive scene is, or expensive scenes, I guess, that we didn't cover. Love to hear from you guys. Again, you could reach out to us on Instagram and Twitter at Wicked Hot Talk, and I guess the sale will be over, but. If anything, t-shirts, guys.
Yeah, t-shirts, TeePublic, Wicked Hot, buy 'em.
But yeah, they're great shirts. Kevin, I don't know if we have. Oh yeah, and then of course subscribe to us and follow on iTunes if you're or any other podcast platform that you're familiar with. Helps us out. 5 stars, good reviews, all that good shit. Kevin, I don't know if you have anything else, but I think.
Nope. Bye, everybody.